Hey there, YouTube. It's been a hot minute since I uploaded a video. I started this channel 3.5 years ago because the COVID lockdown. I was home, out of work, and I was bored. The problem being, since I was out of work and bored, I also met someone, and then I got married, and now I have a wife and a stepdaughter. So the past 3 years of my life have been renovating the house. I built. You can't see it through the window because it's dark out. You can see the reflection. But I put up a pool. I built the pool deck for it. I built my daughter a tree house. Like I said, I renovated the house. But I'm really looking forward to getting back into making YouTube videos. And the best time for that is in the winter because there's really nothing I can do in the yard. There's really nothing I can do in the house. It's cold and miserable. I live in Buffalo. It's the best time is in the winter. Problem being, for the 8 years I've owned this house, I've never heated the garage. Originally, I thought about putting a wood burner in, but I don't have room. Like, the garage is 20 by 14. It's a single car garage. It's little. It's a mess right now because I'm in the process of cleaning it out for winter, getting it clean so I can do stuff and projects in here and hopefully put videos out to YouTube. But can't do a wood burner. My next thought was natural gas, but that would require me running a gas line. My garage is detached, so I'd have to run a gas line across my backyard, and I don't feel like doing that, and then I definitely don't feel like paying somebody to do that. So then after that, my third thought, since I got the welder right here, I got a 220 line, is to put like a 220 heater up in the corner, like an electric one, but those are just wildly inefficient and they'll run your electric meter. So I ended up settling on this, and it's not really a settle because the thing's awesome. This is a Chinese diesel heater. These are originally made to heat campers and RVs, and actually some people use them for tiny homes as a furnace. I actually bought it over a year ago, and it sat in the box until about 2 weeks ago was Halloween, and it was super cold, and my stepdaughter was at her father's for Halloween, so me and my wife and the neighbor hung out in the garage and handed out candy, and we needed heat. So that's the first time I fired this thing up, and it was so hot I couldn't even put my hand right here. This is where it blows the hot air out of. I couldn't even put my hand right there. Now, I got this over a year ago. Like I said, it was $105. It is a 5 kilowatt model, and right now on eBay you can get a 7 kilowatt model for $95, so actually $10 cheaper, but they're still, despite the inflation, they're still around $100. And it just pumps out heat, but I gotta plumb it in. That's the only thing. So the diesel goes in here, obviously. 4 hours on full blast, that's how much diesel fuel I used. Maybe it only holds a gallon. I only put 1 gallon in. So maybe half a gallon for 4 hours of diesel fuel. So $2. And like I said, it was vented outside. The garage door was open. Like, it was on full blast for 4 hours. And it used half a gallon of diesel fuel. But anyways, how this works, like, it has the remote digital display, blah, blah, blah. It blows hot air out of here, sucks in air from back there. But to heat up, if I can grab it with one hand, heat up the air, this tube right here, this is an intake. This is like a little cheapy plastic. It's got a stainless steel mesh wire thing in there, probably just to keep like sawdust and debris from going in. But right here is the exhaust for the burner. And what I need to do is route that outside. Now, because these are designed for campers and RVs, they run off of a 12-volt battery, which is no big deal. So it uses the 12-volt electricity to heat up, to burn the diesel fuel. And that heats up like all these aluminum fins in here, and then it blows the hot air out. It's awesome. But it comes with this pipe, which you can't bend it super tight because it'll kink. And I'm sure in the actual application it's made for, in like RVs and campers, like it's perfect. Like you got plenty of room. Put this down, you can kind of face it wherever you need to for the exhaust, but not so much in the garage. So what I did, went on Amazon. This exhaust pipe, if you get one, is 24 millimeters. I ordered right here. I have an elbow, nice tight elbow that'll go on the exhaust port in the bottom. And I ordered this, they call it a through hull exhaust. They're made for these. It's all stainless. It's actually really heavy duty for what it is. It was only 20 bucks. All right. And I got an angled one. I actually got both. I got a straight one too. I actually ordered the straight one first. That was a mistake. So I might be sending that back, because my thought was the exhaust here, it's there and there's a hole in the back and you could run the exhaust straight out the back, and I'm going to run it right through this window, you know. But the problem is the intake is right behind it. So maybe the intake is made to run out of that hole. I have no idea, but that's kind of a dumb design. So my whole plan, so I'm going to use the angle that's going to go up in there like that. And then I actually have here, this is a chunk of weed whacker shaft. It's aluminum, which has I did look it up, it has like a melting point of 1200 degrees, and the exhaust on these only get up to about 800, which is still super hot, but it shouldn't melt this. Now this, is this the right end? It actually fits, like, it's super tight. Like, I don't even need a clamp for that. Okay, so the plan is to have that coming out of here, like kind of on an angle, because it can't go straight back, kind of on an angle. And then I'm going to make a plate, or I'm going to install a board with this also on an angle. And I'm just going to show you guys how I do that to get the exhaust out of the garage through the window, because this window, I actually made this window out of plexiglass because the old one was broken, but oh, it's heavy. It's 1/2 inch thick plexiglass, but it opens up. So let me get everything ready and I'll be back. And I'm back. All right, had to get everything ready and break for dinner. But anyways, so if I put this, can I get this under here without holding it up? There we go. All right, so right now that elbow is attached down there, but as you can see, this is way too low to fit out the window. So what I'm thinking, I had a couple of scrap 4x4s, and like this has these mounting holes in it, so I can just cut these down and mount right on that. That would lift this up, and actually that would probably save the workbench from starting on fire, because this pipe is going to get super hot being the exhaust. So I'm going to cut these down to the same length as this, and I actually have my table saw set up right over there, but since I do most of my woodworking in the summertime outside, I don't know where the little sawdust sock is, and I didn't want to fill my garage with sawdust, so I'm just going to cut everything out there. I'll get these cut down to the proper length, you know, to mount this on, to raise this up that, you know, they're 4x4, so 3.5 inches, and that should make this pipe, you know, pretty much close in the center of this. This is 3.5 inches. And then to go in there, I actually have this is a 2x4, but it's a rough cut 2x4, so it's actually 2 inches by 4 inches. And I'm going to cut that down to fit in there underneath the window when it's raised. And I figured the extra 1/2 inch would just give me more stability, so it wouldn't really rock, even though I don't think that's going to be an issue. And I'll cut that down, and I'm going to show you how I measure, because this is on an angle. And where is it? Oh, Huh. What do I do with that thing? Oh, it's right there. I'm an idiot. Okay, so that's on an angle, and so is this. And I could put it back, you know. That doesn't really line up. You gotta wait for it to be parallel. And, you know, you gotta get it kind of just right. There's some room for wiggle. Like, that's kind of loose. When I clamp it down, it'll tighten up. But, like, some wiggle room there. I can go up or down on this. Actually, if I get out of there, like, quite a bit. But anyways, I'll get that cut down and those cut down, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna measure for that. All right, so I got this up on 4x4s, so it's 3.5 inches higher. You know, I got some deck screws in there just to hold it down. It's not super light, so like I have it right up against the edge, but I ain't too worried about knocking it off. So now what I need to do, I have this held up with just a normal 2x4. And then I cut this down. I actually test fit it. It was so tight I had to hammer it in with the dead blow. So I guess it'll just keep the cold out better. But what I need to do, actually this might have to go over to the side, is I got to figure out the proper length to cut this weed whacker handle. Because like, okay, so I can angle it like that, but you figure the front of this will be up against the face of this, the same as the front of the window. So it'll be even with the front of the window. So if I hold this flat like that against the front of the window, try to get in here, like, get past, son of a, okay. So, like I said, there's wiggle room in all of the joints pretty much. So I'm not super concerned about getting it exact, because I mean, it's just clamped on. There's no way I'm going to do this with one hand. Give me a second. All right, sometimes you just got to put your phone down. But anyways, see how it's not quite lining up. Like, this is now up in there where it's gonna go. All right, and this is angled pretty much where it's supposed to be, and it's still not super lining up. It's pretty close. If I move this over, about there, that looks good. So what I'm gonna do is, if I had another hand, is take a marker. There's my pinky. I'm gonna mark right there, because that's the proper length. I'm gonna do a butt connection on these, which normally is not good for exhaust, but I think in this situation it'll be fine. And I'll explain why when I do it, but I'm gonna take a Sharpie and mark that and then cut it down. All right, so if you have a pipe cutter, definitely use a pipe cutter like that. It looks like a C-clamp. So I got my mark there. Just gonna loosen a little bit more. Weasel that down to where it's gotta go. Like I said, there's pretty decent give on all the joints, so it doesn't have to be exact, but I still like it as close as I can get it. Oh, there's a piece of wood. Okay. Like I said, gotta clean the garage. And then you give it a quarter turn every spin or two. It's a lot faster with aluminum pipe than steel pipe, but, and then there's that. So notice I clamped the part I wasn't going to use in the vise, and then it gives you a nice beveled edge, not too many burrs. So then the next thing I got to do, because this should, if I shove this up here and angle it the proper way. I also, if I'm not close, I have a little room behind here. I can move that back. But I think I'm pretty much, right where I need to be. The other thing is that this aluminum weed whacker shaft is just a touch bigger than this. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just such a smidgen bigger. I probably shouldn't even worry about it. But I have a belt sander. So I'm just going to grind it down and kind of like rotate it as I go, you know. And just to get it a little bit smaller, it's aluminum, so it'll go fast, so I don't have to use a ton of pressure or anything. But just try to get it the same exact diameter as this, because like I said, it's going to be a butt connection, not a slip-on. All right, now that I have these just about where they're the exact same diameter, what I'm gonna use is a clamp like this. Now, this stuff, you know, the stuff that comes with it comes with like normal hose clamps, but they have the slots in them because it's a worm screw to tighten them. This one, I don't even know what it's supposed to be for. In case you want the name, it's a Breeze Constant Torque USA. Okay. But anyways, like the slots are on the outside, but it's like a double layer. So it's like basically flat steel inside, or stainless steel. And I'm just gonna butt these up against each other, clamp them together, because like it's an exhaust, like there is pressure, there is, you know, air being blown through it that is hot, but like you have a car, you have a catalytic converter, a resonator, and a muffler, and if there's a leak in the exhaust anywhere before any of those, because those restrict the flow and they create back pressure, the exhaust will come out of it. Well, this is just, I mean, yeah, it's a complete straight through design, so, you know, there's no restriction. I just dropped that. There's no restriction at all in any of this. So the air is going to find the easiest path out, and if I just clamp this, you know, and that pretty much closes the gap all the way, like the air either has to go directly out here where there's zero resistance, or somehow build up resistance and like come out of this clamp, which I guess is possible. Like if the wind's ever coming this way, the wind comes from that way, by the way, but if the wind's ever coming this way and I have the heat on and it like blows against this and pushes the, you know, builds a little pressure in the exhaust, it might leak a little bit out. But at the end of the day, it's just burning diesel fuel fumes. Like it's like a diesel truck exhaust, but on a way smaller scale. Like it's not harmful. I don't think I'm going to die from it. Like it's just really not that big of a deal. But I'm going to use that to clamp both of these together. And then I think the last clamp, because to get up under here where the hole is, to clamp that on just is the absolute worst. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp this to that, and I'm going to jam this board, which is going to end up going in there, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. All right, I hope this is a good enough camera angle. So I pulled this, I can't see what you see right now, but I pulled this out from the wall, and I'm going to put it on. I cranked this down as hard as I could, and I can kind of almost spin it in there, but it's so tight, I don't think there's going to be any, you know, especially since it's wide open here, there's going to be any sort of fumes or anything coming out. So I left that one loose, and obviously it's not clamped onto the machine yet. So I'm going to put that up there, and I'm going to make sure, because I wanted, damn it, let me just drop more stuff on me. I wanted this even with the side of the workbench, so I put it even with the side of the workbench, and I'm going to slide it back until this is perfectly flat. See, I pushed it too far. Now it's too far forward. Right about there. It's perfectly flat on that piece of wood. And it's even on this side of the workbench. So that means this piece of wood is 2 inches thick. So if I, you know, drill the hole right here, which is what I'm going to do, this whole unit will actually, it'll be the same exact angles and everything will line up, but this will be 2 inches back farther. which I have probably about 2.5 or 3 inches behind it. So I'm going to take a Sharpie, I actually found it this time, and I'm just going to, you know, it's a garage, so it doesn't need to look pretty. Like, these marks are probably always going to be here, but whatever. Either that, or I could actually, you know what, I could flip the wood over, because it'll be the same distance from over here. So I could take this wood and I could flip it over and you'd never see the Sharpie marks. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. But anyway, so I have my circle there. So now I need to find the center and find a hole saw. All right, so looking at it off of there, this hole's actually a little off center, which I could center it, but yeah, whatever. Like I said, it's just a garage. Now, to find the center, now remember all these, everything, the heater, the clamp, even the clamps are 7mm sockets, but everything's in metric. So I'm like a good red-blooded American. I hate that. So I don't know how many millimeters this circle is, but what I'm going to do is put it at the 1, because I try to never measure from this, because this moves around, and I just think it's more precise if you start at the 1. Put the 1 on a line and hold it there, and rotate the other side until it's the longest measurement it can be. There's about, oh, this whole thing keeps moving. It's about 1.25 inches, and then it starts getting smaller again. So 1.25 inches. That should be pretty close to center, but so it's actually 3.25. So half of that, half of 3.25 is 1 1/8. No, 3.25 is 1 5/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a straight line like that, and then I'm going to do the same thing the other way. I'm going to start at the 1 on this side, go till it reads 3.25. Should be right about there, and then at 1 5/8, the line out, and then when those two intersect, should be the center, or should be close enough, because like I said, like I keep reiterating, there's a lot of slop in everything until you tighten the clamps down and you got some wiggle room. Now, this, according to the Amazon listing, the bigger barrel here is 1.5 inches. What I have is 1 5/8 inch hole saw, which is obviously just 1/8 bigger than the barrel of that, but that'll give me just that much more wiggle room if I need to adjust something. The problem being is that this, since this is a real 2x4, not a 1.5 by 3.5, it ain't gonna go all the way through. But the pilot bit will stick all the way through. So I'm gonna actually have to drill it from one side, flip it over, use the hole as a guide, and drill it from the other side. All right, just to protect the workbench, though it is only plywood, I can always replace it. I'm just gonna put a scrap 2x4 down there, that as centered as I can. Oh. She walked a little bit. It'll be fine. That's as far as it'll go on that side, but I have the pilot hole right here. So, in theory, this should line right up. Like that. Look at that. Like a glove. And now, sawdust. I don't want sawdust in my garage tonight, but whatever. So, this should fit right through there like that, and since it's an actual 2x4, not a, you know, if I get a regular nominal size 2x4, I mean, you can see how much It's just that 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, but it doesn't even look like a 1/2 inch. Maybe this isn't a 2x4. It was at some point. But anyways, this is like, you don't got a lot of room up or down on that. Like, it's very close to the wall, and you'd actually, like, you couldn't run it through something that was supporting something because that wall would be way too thin. Not that there'd be any sort of thing that you would, well, maybe on the wall of a garage, like on the corner where it's flat. Don't do that. But this way, you know, and since I got it that 1/8 inch bigger, I got that much wiggle room so I can get everything, you know, kind of tight and sort of where it's supposed to be. But what I'm going to do first is it came with this plate that lines up with the holes in the front. That goes in the back. There was also a rubber gasket, but I don't, that's for like the hull of a boat because it's a through hull exhaust tip. And then it came with these machine screws, which if I hold them up here will be just long enough to fit through this actual 2x4. But I want to put that on first, and then I got to find this and put that on before I put it in the window, because I'm going to push this back. You'll see. I'm going to push that back, and then I'm going to end up going out to the outside of the house, or the outside of the garage, and drilling the three holes to hold it. But that's after I get it. Oh, shit. Okay. Well, this is something I am going to do off camera then. All right. So lesson learned. I've never seen one of these clamps before today. And I thought it was just a normal clamp. I didn't really Google it or anything. I don't know if I'm a Neanderthal, but I doubt it. Apparently, like, I loosened it up, it will not tighten down. It will not tighten down anymore. Like, I can sit here and I can tighten it by hand, and this will get smaller. But as soon as I put it around something and put pressure on it, it'll tighten a little and then just pop. So that ain't gonna work. But luckily, all these, you know, Chinese muffler parts, they came with a ton of these little regular hose clamps, and I have plenty of these in the garage. I just cut that one. I cut the top and bottom off, and I think I'm just gonna wrap it. Put one of these on either side. Like, I actually brought the drill for this one. Like, I don't feel, once again, like there's really no pressure, so I don't feel like that's a bad thing to do. But right now, I'll get the clamps on first. See if I can actually do this. Like, I cut it with my pocket knife, so it's not like it's still got the liquid in it too. So push that in the way. Hopefully these clamps go big enough to fit over that, over my disaster of a wrap job. So we got, oh, that's about as big as it can go. Okay, that one's on. Now, this side, make sure it's tight. And this is not the correct way to do this, but it's like 9 o'clock at night right now, and I don't think I have like any other option. Like, there's really nowhere I can go to get more clamps, or so. Make sure it's tight, and then this one. Make sure this is down all the way. Yeah. Oh, slipped off. So, I mean, I can't even twist that in there. Like, that's pretty solid. I'll go with it. Yeah, so really all I got to do, I can put this elbow back on here, and I can get this board as it sits just like this hammered back into the window. Let's see, there we go. Yeah, I can get this hammered back into the window. Actually, I don't even need to stop the video. You can see how much this sucks. Nice and tight. Alright, it's in there. And then I can get this where it needs to go over here. Oh yeah, I gotta push it back. Right about there. Okay, and so that's just shoved up on there. It's all the way in here. This is don't mind the ring. That I can actually go up there, but that's pretty good in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2 more of them cheapy clamps off camera. I'll throw one up here and I'll throw one down there. And then I'm gonna go out around the outside, and there's 3 holes in that. I'm gonna figure out what size I need and drill those 3 holes all the way through. And then I can put the screws in. I can just shove this up against it. But that should really be all of it. So I'm gonna put them clamps on. I'll be back with you. All right, so I went outside and I drilled through the front of it. These 3 holes, there's one there, one there, one there. Also this, I don't know if that's gonna hold. I would not recommend doing that. And honestly, as soon as I can figure out some better sort of connection, I will do that. But what I'm gonna do right now, actually, yeah, I need a scrap 2x4. Get up on the workbench. Try to do this one-handed. I might just have to pull that up. Blocked it open with a 2x4. I can take my screws, and as soon as I find the holes, there's one. Where is it? There it is. Oh, that was kind of tight. There's that one. Then there's one on the bottom-ish, kind of off. There it is. Okay, so the front of those screws are Phillips, but I'm hoping if I kind of hold them with my finger and just crank the backside with an impact driver. Oh wait, I don't put these on yet. Oh, I almost forgot the most important part. This part should just go kind of like that. All right, so I'm up on the workbench right now. I drilled the holes from the outside in the outside plate. I don't know if I can shove you through so you can see it. I don't know if there's any light, but anyways, I can close that now. They're Phillips screws on the other side, and I'm really hoping that if I just crank the backside down, yep, they'll get tight by friction. They don't have to be super tight. Just a couple ooga doogas just to hold. But yeah, that's it. Now, this is, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. I am definitely gonna be looking for something better, but like, I'm shaking that before I shake this. Like, it ain't going anywhere. But that's pretty much it. I might find something better to do with this intake than let it dangle. I can mount it up there, like mount it there, just something cleaner. Yeah, that's this screw, or the clamp up there, up inside there on that elbow. That was a mother. I had to tilt this whole unit up on its ass, and Anyways, but it has aluminum pipe from a weed whacker, and that ain't going nowhere. And this thing just pumps out heat. So all you would have to do is connect these two to a battery. But like, I don't know if I said it earlier or not, this is my first video in 3.5 years, so I took a lot of takes, and I don't remember what I said in all of them, just to get it kind of perfect. But it's like 50 degrees, maybe 45 right now, which I live in Blaisdell, 10 minutes south of Buffalo, because in Buffalo we measure everything by time. And it is November 15th, and it's like 45 degrees, and tomorrow's actually going to be above 60, which is just crazy. So to give this thing a fair shake, I'm probably going to wait. Like, opening day of shotgun starts this weekend, so I won't be home for the next 4 weekends. But next week it's going to be in the mid 30s. So what I was thinking, I had a bunch of like stamped steel, like mechanical, like thermometers with the red mercury or whatever in them that goes up. I was thinking of maybe putting one back there, like one in that corner, and like maybe one over here. And I'll make a video next week where I actually put a battery in this thing. It's already got diesel fuel, and I'll time it. And, you know, I'll go around and I'll look at what all the thermometers read now, and then give it like a half an hour and see where I'm at in a half an hour, and then like an hour again or something. But so I'll make a video showing how well it works, but it's not cold out enough to give it a fair shake. Like if I pop it on and in like 10 minutes it's 70 degrees in this garage, it's only like 45 right now. Like, that wouldn't take much, but it'll be damn near freezing next week. And I will do a full review, a timed review on how fast this heats up my uninsulated, 70-year-old, falling apart, rotting. Like, look, there isn't even a board down there. It's just concrete. Like, it's rotted. My 70-year-old garage, single car, 20 by 14. And that'll be next week. So if you like this video, thanks for stopping by. It means a lot to me.